welcome everyone. Today we have our another new episode. We will discuss about Sri Lanka because Sri Lanka has a lot of economical challenges. As World Talent Economy Forum, we focus on economy as well as we are advocate for modern science, engineering, and technology. So hopefully it will be very interesting discussion for the developing world. We have our world famous speaker, Dr. Talib Rafael, who is ex-UN WTO Secretary General. Now he is representing World Tourism Organization as a Secretary General, as well as he is our Chief Board of Advisor for World Talent Economy Forum. We have our world famous writer, Mr. Anthony. We have our best partners
Greetings.
from Transhumanist Party, Professor David Schumacher. He actually contribute a lot for World Talent Economy Forum, and we have our youth leaders representative from Bangladesh, Madam Sharmin. So thank you everyone for joining today's session. First, I would like to give chance Professor Dr. Talib Rafael. What is your analysis on the present condition in uh, Sri Lanka? And most important thing is that what's happening this South Asia, because Sri Lanka has challenge, Pakistan has challenge, many things actually happening. What is your advice and how we can overcome from this challenging situation?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Challenges are clear. They're one challenge, which is the hegemony of the United States over these regimes. I can say that very honestly and very frankly. I know some people don't like that, don't like to hear that. But the fact is that what's happening in Pakistan now, today, and the campaign against Imran Khan is an American-led campaign, because Imran Khan did not go along with the American scheme. Now Sri Lanka has the same problem, more or less. I was in Sri Lanka 4 years ago. I visited many parts of Sri Lanka. I went even to the northeastern part of Sri Lanka, which is Hindu. And I saw there what I could not see in other places, which is the fact that the demography of the population is overwhelming. And the people there are not very happy with their government, unfortunately. I know there are economic challenges, but the challenge mainly is political. If the political issues are not sorted out, the economic challenges will never be sorted out. You cannot just look at the economy alone in isolation of the political situation. That's what I want to say for the time being. Thank you so much, Sharif.
Thank you. Professor, I have actually another question because as you discussing about US situation, we have our political representative from USA, Mr. David Schumacher. Hopefully it will be a very interesting dialogue. Another things like, do you believe that like this world actually moving with depolarizations and that is the reason like many countries political situation is unstable or what is happening like China also investing in South Asia, even
Yes.
in Sri Lanka we are observing many of their investing actually it's a trap,
Yeah.
what we can understand from economic point of view, but the political leaders, it's already proven they are also not. I'm not talking about Imran Khan because definitely he proved that he has some transparent personality. But Sri Lanka, in terms of Sri Lanka, the political leader they are not honest, sincere, and they are trying to do economically problem. And when anything happening inside South Asia, this is easy to blame the foreign countries, and we can say, hey, the foreigners they have all of the problems. We are good enough. And what do you think? Actually, lot of questions in one place.
Question is for me. Question is
Yes,
for me.
for
Thank you.
you, like how you want to analyze the China economic impact in Sri Lanka and how the political person or political organizations how they actually can handle it properly.
Okay, China is most interested in the modern Silk Road, which is a trade route that connects China to the West, to the Africa altogether, and Europe. And it passes through Pakistan, of course. And that's why they have an interest in Pakistan. But Sri Lanka also. They have an interest in Sri Lanka because it's a gateway to India. And India is very important to China. Also, China is very keen on establishing a route to Africa. Sri Lanka is a good way to start that. So yes, there is economic benefits behind it. But what I'm saying is for the countries that are engaged in this, the issue is political issue. How can you stand up for the American ambitions? And how can you stand up also for the Chinese ambitions and be your own self? Because the people of those countries, like Sri Lanka, want to be their own selves. They want to do their own thing, if possible. Of course, the world is not ideal. It's a mono world. It was controlled by America. Now it's controlled by two powers, America and China. Russia is not even a power there, unfortunately. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, thank you. You are very, very experienced politician, and you run many, many big organizations around the world, including United Nations. And I know definitely we will learn more. We will learn more from you because maybe it will help us to develop our leadership quality. Mr. David Schumacher, you are from Transhumanist Party. I know that you are not representing whole American politics and policy, but very interesting point Dr. Talib Rafael bring, especially as we are discussing about Asia, especially South Asia. Sri Lanka is very important, but in terms of Pakistan issue, he said that USA trying to engage with the politics of Pakistan and it's create problem. And different times we are actually observing from Middle East, from South Asia, and many part of the world that always try, USA politician always try to engage with the people, and it create all of the problem for their country. Is it true or how you want to analyze?
Well, let me say, you're correct to say that I don't represent that broad political view. The
Yes, yes.
Transhumanist Party is very interested in policy, promoting policy in the United States and anywhere that improves science, health, and technology. That's our main
Yes.
areas of focus. Uh, what I would suggest is for people that want to understand more about the Transhumanist Party and how it fits in, is go to transhumanist-party.org and look around the website. We have our core values, which are built around life and health extension, rational thought for decision making, and elimination of existential risks. Those are our three core values. And then we have our whole uh, platform that's lined out there. And you can read about what it says about economic development. You can see what it says about technology, and what you can see what it says about relationships among people, and that's people in the US and people elsewhere. And then draw your own conclusion as to what you think that we might be involved with as far as something like that is concerned. I don't have any particular knowledge of the issue that's being talked about. I don't have any expertise in that area. That's not my area of expertise. If I do have an area of expertise, it's technology, primarily information technology and then industrial technologies. That's where I've spent decades working. Now, shifting gears just a little bit, if I may, I did a little bit of research on Sri Lanka before coming on this show because
Yes.
I think I had the tourist mindset about what that country would be like. And I think of a beautiful island, I think of the weather, the people. But of course, I like to look through things through the technology lens, through the lens of innovation and entrepreneurship. And what I've read, just looking at a few articles over the last few years about this wonderful country, is it looks like there is a lot of major development going on as far as new technologies are concerned, especially in the IT area, which I already said is an area that I've spent decades working in, and in the communication sectors. And strangely enough, or not strangely enough, the IT that I performed as a system engineer was working for two different major communications companies here in the US. So seeing the expertise that's being developed in IT and communications in Sri Lanka is amazing to me. However, offshoring from countries like the Netherlands and so forth for software development is another really great issue. And I see that as something that's easily transportable as far as being able to take software code from one country to the other and beneficial to both. So I'm hoping that that is a great part of the future of this country. Biotech, I already started out talking about that. What the first key core value of the U.S. Transhumanist Party is life and health extension. And I just read that the Sri Lanka Institute of Biotech's collaborating with the American government, the U.S. Agency for International Development, so there'd be dollars coming there to promote innovation in biotech, and they're establishing Sri Lanka's first biotech innovation park, and that just came out at the end of March, this last March. So that's very new information, and I think that's very encouraging. And then I mentioned that I'm very interested in innovation and entrepreneurship. And Sri Lanka now has established their first angel fund that's channeling investments into homegrown startups. And there was a number of companies listed that I'm not familiar with. I'm going to want to take a look at them. But I see a lot of wonderful things on the horizon there for Sri Lanka. Mm-hmm. So then my next thought was, gee, if I wanted to come visit and participate in some of this myself, so I check our State Department's page on travel advisors. And unfortunately, because of COVID, there is a level 3 travel advisory to going to Sri Lanka. We're still having our own problems here. And so COVID's got to come under control. The supply chain is being impacted negatively all over the world, and that's true in Sri Lanka as well. There's fuel and medicine shortages. Those are challenges to overcome. And then, as it seems, the new modern nemesis to us all is some level of terrorism that's going on. And I don't know what the details are of that, but I know that there are problems there as there are elsewhere. So I remain optimistic about what I reading about the new development, the economic development in that country, and in areas that are very near to me that seem very 21st century. And I think that should really help the youth as they are planning their future, where they want to go, to take a look at these startups, take a look at biotech, take a look at software, IT in general, and communications. I think there's a lot of positives there. And as our previous speaker said, I believe he said, challenges lead to change. These changes can be positive if we want to steer them that way. And that's the direction that I want to steer things. Thank you, Sharif.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor David Schumacher. Actually, World Talent Economy Forum, we are also helping the developing world in that way. We are advocating for modern science, engineering, and technology, and we are helping to develop the knowledge-based startup communities. And this startup community can solve economical problem of their country. David Schumacher, yes.
Yeah, just a quick update. I put this picture on in the background because this picture, I don't know if I can get out of the way, is Sri Lanka's Institute of Nanotechnology. So really talking about 21st century innovation, research, and development. I really do think they're going in the right direction. Thanks for letting me add that amendum.
Thank you. Thank you. Sharmin, you are working for a Sri Lankan financial institution in Bangladesh. So what is your view about Sri Lanka? You have a very good experience from South Asia. What you want to share for our audience?
It's very saddening to see what they're facing, because it's very, very tough situation, when you have to really balance out between your debt, that repayment, that overseas debt that is chasing you. At the same time, you are also struggling to meet domestic demands. When you see the price hike really, really hurt them bad, especially in a situation where immediately after pandemic hasn't even ended, so the world as a whole suffering at this moment. Even Sri Lanka's economy also dependent a lot on their tourism industry as well. So over there also losing out foreign currencies is also hurting them. But what I would say in terms of, I can't give a solution. My brain even doesn't work to that extent. um, but maybe the solution might not be effective now, because now they need immediate addressing, probably maybe loan from IMF, or I don't know, other foreign nations maybe have to be a bit liberal, or being, I don't know, kind enough to provide them support. That would be immediate solution. But on the other hand, I also do see that having that debt trap that caused by China. When a country or a nation take up loan from abroad, they really have to really think, and only the sustainable way is to also promote local saving. So probably we learn from history, and we do follow these local saving methods to invest on our own infrastructural development, rather than falling into the debt trap.
Excellent. Sharmin, as like you are a financial analyst, I just want to know that Bangladesh also developing many mega projects inside Bangladesh with
Yep.
the help of China. And in the local media, I'm observing that there are some comparison in between China, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. What do you think? What is the present condition in Bangladesh, and what do you think that Bangladesh in the future they has to face the challenges like Sri Lanka, or it's manageable?
I think I can't foresee it, but I do believe that when a country depends so much on, because if we really see that how China operates and how they want to like colonize the world, I would say, maybe it might sound rude, um, it's through this, providing debt and controlling the world that way. So obviously we have to really think twice before we going, you know, taking debt from the other nation, and especially when corruptions and all this are high. Because at the end of the day, your infrastructure get developed or not, they're going to come and ask for repayment. So in that case, it's going to be very difficult. That I can't even imagine if that happens to this country. Like, you don't see the infrastructure, at the same time the country is in full of debt, right? But I do also believe Bangladesh has a lot of local savings as well. So probably in terms of how policymaker works, in terms of the tendering process, and then even the deliverables, because I do also see a lot of time that when tender comes for an infrastructure, a lot of Japanese company also fighting in that tender. But what happened is China bid it so low price that they nobody else could bid that price level. So at the end, seeing probably the policymaker also like to give the project to the lowest possible bid. But at the end of the day, we also do see that the work slow down, and then gradually this price hike up coming in. Then China demanding raw mat price has increased, and then they stop working in the middle, and then us revising the price. So all these things need to be also thoroughly thought by the policymaker before they taking a debt, or even thinking about an infrastructure project.
Thank you. Thank you for your excellent analysis, Dr. Shambhu. You are also from a business forum, and you are from South Asia. Sharmin actually bring very important point, especially for mega projects, macro initiatives, and what I understand that every countries in South Asia, they have some sort of challenges in terms of managing the policy. So what is your observation on that particular point, and what you want to share as a business leader with our audience?
Okay, good evening, everybody. First of all, if we be confined to the Sri Lankan issue, the Sri Lanka has some 2-3 points to consider. I think so. If we analyze Sri Lanka, there are few issues. One thing is Sri Lanka is in a very, you can say, crucial area. If Sri Lanka could harvest that geopolitical, or we can say maritime, or some geolocation, it could be the richest country in South Asia. So though per capita income, in terms of per capita, is second in South Asia. Next thing, there are a kind of debt trap. Our previous speaker told. So it's a kind of debt trap is there. But the question is, they had ambitious plan, and they had taken some handsome percent of their GDP as a loan from the foreigners. So the issue is, if this pandemic couldn't come, their tourism and other issues, other sector would be becoming like boom, and some terrorist attack and some security issues were there, and some riots were there. That was also disturbing. But the question is there something between your ambition, your ambitious plan, your loan or debt, whatever you say, and the geological or geopolitical issues? If you ask, then you will get some answers from there, because Sri Lanka is in such a position in maritime area. From Sri Lanka's territory, you can say the radar area, there is more $1 trillion business. But how much Sri Lanka is trapping? Sri Lanka is trapping very less. Sri Lanka is giving its land for some shipping companies. Sri Lanka could be the next Denmark in terms of maritime world, and it can earn annually at least $20 to $30 billion. So from that, if you see the GDP of Sri Lanka now, and if you see the prospect of Sri Lanka, there is a vast gap. The reason behind that is some political issues. If you see there, a kind of differences are there, because some politicians, politics is going to happen like some pro-India, pro-China, and there's a fighting like that. And these are some issues. But in whole South Asia, there is one issue, that is corruption and malpractices in politics. But financial sector don't have these kinds of things. If you don't pay on time, so they will start maybe arbitration or any legal procedures. The major issue of Sri Lanka now is the loan from the non-government sectors. If Sri Lanka could have taken loan as a government or such organization, they could request to consider. So if you see the Nepal case also, Nepal also have such loan, but Nepal generally takes loan from the government or certain organizations who can reconsider, maybe the World Bank or some others. But Sri Lanka case, if you see there are some non-government organizations who can fund money. So they force Sri Lanka to pay back, one thing. And next thing, if you cannot balance your import and export and you make an ambitious plan, at that time you have to have a specific plan for the foreign currency reserve. Sri Lanka has, it's not an economic problem, but it's a foreign currency problem. Means Sri Lanka should have some kind of a specific arrangement in export or maybe any foreign currency earning projects. There is something lacking, but in my opinion, the major reason behind this Sri Lanka crisis is COVID-19, which gave another scenario in this world and it fell down. I think it's enough.
Thank you, Dr. Shombu. Adam, what you want to add for today's discussions? I can understand you are from Europe. Yes, but you can share the view. We know that European Union actually very good partner for this developing country like Sri Lanka, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. They're very good partners. So what you want to add for today's discussion?
Thank you, Sharif. Like Mr. Schumacher pointed out earlier, is that Sri Lanka is one of those places that is imagined mostly through the lens of a tourist or the tourist's eye view. I had a friend in college years ago whose parents came here from Sri Lanka, and he was quite a high achiever. It's not a country that he's been in the news much recently or at all, but of course, a little bit further back, there was the civil war being waged between the Tamils and the Sinhalese. Sometimes it feels like there is so much global conflict that some incidents and conflicts and wars are eclipsed by other world events so much that some of them might be forgotten. But of course, it is important not to stay stuck in the past, because these conflicts, as horrible as they are, can shake people out of their mutual hatred for each other's enemies and can be transmuted into an opportunity for cooperation and rebuilding infrastructures damaged by wars, projects that require mass collaboration, where people have no choice but to work together. But the Asia Pacific is the homeland to many of the world's brightest achievers, like in Malaysia, Singapore, India, is part of the world that is rich in intelligence and intelligent people who, like Mr. Schumacher said, will help biochemistry, nanotechnology, engineering gain more traction. And there's no reason Sri Lanka cannot be a part of that. Unfortunately, I've not been there or anywhere at all in Asia just yet, but it is on my list of places I would love to eventually visit. And yeah, like David said earlier, again, it presents itself as a very beautiful country, rich in culture and spirituality. Cricket is quite big over there, I think. But it's quite easy to profess how civil unrest can present a new opportunity for cooperation and growth, because ethnic tensions seem to go up and down, but are very hard to de-escalate completely. Unfortunately, they're quite hard to diffuse completely. But hopefully, we will see that within our lifetimes. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Talib, a lot of important aspect actually we get from our speakers, other speakers. We are actually find out the solution for Sri Lanka and South Asian country. We find, Dr. Talib, are you, okay, I think he has an internet problem. David Schumacher, there are few points we are observing that in South Asia, uh, they need better political leaders, especially Sri Lanka. uh, uh, Number two, they need better policy. I think Transhumanist Party can help for developing better policy, and definitely maybe we need to do more research for implementing in developing world for these policy applications. And number three, uh, we believe that we need more innovative solution. What you already add for our audience. So, how the South Asian countries like Sri Lanka, they can develop a better policy. Dr. Mr. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Really great questions and just the kind of things that I like to talk about, actually. So policy comes, I think, from looking at the challenges that are put in front of you and looking at them through a lens of opportunity. What can we do with these challenges? How can we take the challenges that we have, mitigate them, eliminate them? Or my favorite is somehow find a way to make them better. And I think the only way to do that is through collaboration. And I think the collaboration has to be as broadly based as possible for that collaboration to truly provide good solutions. So I would say that, like in the areas of technology and so forth, if I was looking at developing a technological product and I talked to very few people, my solution would be very narrow. The broader that I can make that collaboration, then the more diverse user base that I would find for that product. Now, if you take and apply that to government policy, I think the same thing is true. I think when policy becomes too narrow, you end up with factions that end up fighting each other because they too have their own very narrow solutions. So broad-based, people involved, diverse, those are the key elements, I think, to forming good policy. And everybody needs to be heard. The Transhumanist Party, I want to say, struggle and we enjoy those benefits all the time because we are very broad-based. Even within our officer ranks, some of the discussion that goes on among officers would sound like people from opposing points of view, and we somehow find a way to be able to take those very diverse points of view. And while everybody may not fully agree, politics is often described as the art of the possible and a place where truly compromise is not a bad word. This is a place to take a very broad look and see what we do agree on and what we can bring forward. So you asked about people. We need as many people as possible involved in those policies, not just simply copying policies from other countries or other political parties, but collaborating among themselves for the kind of policies that they want. And I think then that the people, as far as leaders, will rise out of that, that will truly champion those solutions, not the politicians that we sometimes run into that look to see what policies are polling the best. And yes, that's what I'm going to stand for today, but they don't really have that authentic drive to make those policies come forward. So people and policy and solutions, the three things that you brought up, Sharif, are all very intertwined, and that relationship's very important.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. David Schumacher. We have Professor Jyotirmoy. I already shared we are working with Indian team. Professor Jyotirmoy, can you hear? Can you hear? Professor Jyotirmoy? Professor Jyotirmoy? I think he
Am
has
I,
internet.
am I audible?
Yes, you are
Yes, you
audible.
are. Yes, you are.
Yes, yes. Yes, World Talent Economy Forum actually collaborate with this famous professor. I already shared that 15 villages with 30,000 peoples, we are providing support to develop a talent economy ecosystem. So Professor Jyotirmoy, excellent professors, always he's very helpful, very kind. We have many kind people in our team, like Professor Talib, David Schumacher, everyone. So, Professor Jyotirmoy, what you want to add? And we want to hear some positive news from your side. I know that you have some positive news you want to share with our audience.
But about Sri Lanka, I have not studied much, but
Uh,
so far I have got to know the situation is very terse there. I don't have any quick solution for that. I could suggest for something which can be done in a longer period. Right now, I have nothing to say. But there was a question about the politics. I think politics is very much partial one, which involves in countries like ours, which involves only 1% of people and 99, and it needs over activeness of 1%, and it demands uh, over inactiveness of 99%. So I would like to suggest that this type of politics, which is very much limited, which is with very few people only, there should be a social partnership. The whole society should be there. We were talking about intertwining. How to make the whole society intertwined at the grassroots. That is our problem, and that is our solution too. How we can make them connected locally, at the grassroots. We are trying to evolve that socio-spiritual engineering here in India. So if that can be replicated with due modifications for other countries like Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or Pakistan, I have some connections there too. Maybe with due modifications, that type of social engineering where each and everyone can get involved with the rhythm of giving and receiving. That would be very great. We are trying to do it at the lap of the Himalaya. As you said, Sarif, 15 panchayats. Panchayats mean cluster of villages. Maybe 50 or more than that villages are there. Anyway, we are trying to do at the grassroots to get them connected to address a few major issues of our time, like crisis in environment, employment, and agriculture, and by covering the soil with permanent greenery, maybe 50% of food security can be had from food forest. In most of the countries, I think it can be had. We have denuded the earth. We have denuded the soil. So it needs to be, no portion of this earth is ready to face the scorching sun. So the nature wants to make it covered with a proper green dress. We have denuded the earth. So we are to do it mostly by making food forest, permanent greenery. So we are trying to do it, do this type of thing by involving each and every one of the society, by connecting the whole education system some way or other. That is a long story. I don't think that it is the right time to tell everything about this. I think later on we can delve deep into it. And now I was listening to you from YouTube. I was there wrongly. I couldn't reach here, but I was listening to you. Now I could manage to enter the meeting. Anyway, thank you for offering your insights, your thoughts. I have got it, and I have nothing much to say about Sri Lanka. I would like to learn more about those things
Thank you.
from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jyotirmoy. Actually, World Talent Economy Forum always love to take action. So this is one of our action. And everyone like Dr. Talib Rafael inspire us to engage with grassroots level people. Already in India, in Nepal, in Bangladesh, Malaysia, Indonesia, China, millions of people we are engaging. We are supporting through this open dialogue as well as practical solutions we are providing, especially entrepreneurship ecosystem development. And we believe the talent economy is the future. Around the world, everybody actually discussing about investment and technology. But we have to be very much careful about human resources, talent economy, what actually Dr. Jyotirmoy said, that we have to utilize our resources. So we believe we have a lot of talented around the world, even in developing nations. We have many talented in the grassroots level. If we can utilize this talent people and the local ecosystem and resources, we can solve many problems, and this can be a very good model for Sri Lanka. And definitely we were doing more research, so those who want to support our initiative, they can join, and they can engage with these things. We are open for everyone. Dr. Talib, you are a very dynamic leader. You contribute a lot for politics, for largest corporation like UN, ILO, World Economic Forum. How we can actually develop better policy and better political leader, because at the end of the day, decision comes from political leader.
That is right, Sharif. People are people. I traveled the whole world. I did not see any difference between the people and the people are what we make them. What makes them is the leadership in that country. The leadership is very important. So I'm going to say again, unfortunately, the leadership in Sri Lanka needs to be rethought of, because it is very much for its own sake. This is the situation in many developing countries. They don't think of their people, think of themselves as leaders. For example, what's the difference between Sri Lanka and Malaysia, or Sri Lanka and Singapore? There is no difference really. People are people. I've noticed that. When I was in Bangladesh 3-4 years ago, I've seen some things that are really moving. People are excellent people. They're wonderful people. In Sri Lanka, the same thing. They engaged them in civil war, Tamils against the Senegalese. Now the Tamils have been defeated in the war. This is being given credit to the government there. The government has misused that now, unfortunately. So I'm talking about leadership here. Leadership should be rethought, because the international powers are supporting some leaders that do not have any popular base. And even if they do, You're not taking the right decisions at all. You know, the debts that Sri Lanka is going through is not something that we could live with for a long time. It's debts that are led by the IMF and the World Bank, which are institutions that are run by the Americans, unfortunately. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. But we need more of your support because we are engaging with more talented people around the world. Like, I'm very happy because uh, I directly learn from you, and I want to be make more leaders for the developing world. Like, we will visit Dr. Jyotirmoy Bosu's Goswami's area, and we want to train the young people. And I want to invite you all, and I can ensure that 30,000 people they will engage with our conference. This will not be like only the conference and big talk. It will be real conference, real people, real grassroots level engagement, lot of fun, lot of enjoyment. That is the things I can ensure. And one thing that World Talent Economy Forum, this is our objective. We are not for profit. We are not only for money, but we are for human progressions. So those who have this kind of real project, like Dr. Jyotirmoy Goswami, please communicate with us. We will support as much as possible, and I'm sure Dr. Talib Rafael, David Schumacher, Adam, Mr. Jyotirmoy, even Sharmin, everyone gonna contribute for this project because your experience is priceless. If you share your experience with the youth and talented people, they will be more inspired and they can contribute more for their nation. That is very, very important for national development. And Sharmin, can you hear me? Sharmin, are you with me? Okay. Adam,
Sharmi.
yes, I think she has internet issue. Adam,
Yes.
yes, talent economy developments can be a good solution for this kind of countries, especially developing countries. What you want to add, because you are also fellow for World Talent Economy Forum.
Thank you, Sharif. Yes, it's very exciting because the next couple of decades will surely witness developing countries, or what we still now call developing countries. The next couple of decades will witness developing countries starting to become major players in the tech industries and sectors of invention and innovation. We can see the seeds of that happening with Africa, for instance, with organizations like TAFT, TAFFD. TAFT, my older brother is an astrophysicist as well as his partner, so they have attended science conferences in a whole variety of different countries around the world: Mongolia, Tahiti, Chile, places you wouldn't normally think, you wouldn't normally associate. But so that raises the question: how many talented people are falling through the cracks because they don't have the same access to education and resources and the mentorship and talent infrastructure that are more available and accessible to talented people in more developed countries? I think that is one of the main considerations that talent economists should look out for. There are so many countries now, from the size of half a continent down to an almost micronation that is like a small island. But in each and every country, there are talented people to be found, to mentor, to have under our wing, and to try and get their talents recognised and work so that we can work with everyone in every country across the whole globe. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Sharmin, can you hear me?
Sharmi.
Okay.
Hello.
Can you hear me, Sharmin?
Hello.
Okay.
Yes, Sharmi. You can hear.
Okay, Sharmin.
Yes.
Basically, Dr.
Yes.
Talib Rafael bring very important point. We need to develop a
I could hear
good
it back
leadership. Can you
now.
hear me?
Yes. We can hear you.
I, I,
We
I
can
Noise.
hear
think
you, Sharmi.
I think she has internet issue. So sorry. Actually, I have to go for concluding remarks for today's sessions. When Sharmin back, she will get the chance. Uh, Professor David Schumacher, what you want to add
Hello.
as a concluding remarks for today's session?
So I watch different newscasts each evening, and most of the newscasts, the format is about 15 to 20 minutes of the most depressing news from across the United States and all around the world about every bad thing that's going on. And at the very end, they have what they call the feel-good story. That's completely out of balance with reality. And that's one thing that I want to bring up. So while I don't minimize challenges that are out there, I don't minimize the fact that there are some really important things that need to be resolved wherever you live on this planet, that I think it's very important not to give in to the human tendency to value negatives higher than we value positives. I mean, why don't those news shows have 15 to 20 minutes of positive stories and then a quick summary of what's gone wrong in the world? It's because that's not what people want to hear. We always want to hear the bad things. We always want to focus on those bad things. I'm sure that's been a hereditary advantage when we lived in a less modern society and there were threats everywhere. We did need to stay vitally focused on that. We need to stay vitally focused on threats and challenges today, but perhaps take a page out of the Entrepreneur Innovators book and look at those problems and say, what can I do? How can I contribute, either individually or collectively, to making a solution? Now, an entrepreneur can do that and create economic wealth for themselves and employment for people that are around them. And that's one of the reasons that I like entrepreneurship so much. But it's the focus on looking at challenges and then looking for an opportunity to make things better for people in the world. I don't know all the details of what can be improved in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, or even in the UK, Adam. I don't know there, and I don't have those answers for all of the United States either. But I do appreciate the comments about grassroots participation, because that's what I try to do here in Arizona, but not stay myopically focused on that. You have to take a look at the broader picture too. None of this is easy. It's all challenging, but it can all be rewarding if we move in that direction. And I'll try to leave with that being the positive, feel-good comments out of today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your excellent contribution. Dr. Talib, from audience, I think from our audience, she has special issues. She's from Brazil. It is necessary to rebuild the country, its agriculture and tourist activity. All international leaders and institutions must help Sri Lanka and other offer maximum support. Dr. Talib, you are also Secretary General for World Tourism Organizations. So yes, Sri Lanka economy is heavily dependent on tourism. So what is your advice for them?
Sri Lanka is a wonderful island. It deserves much better. It has wonderful people also. The problem, again, as I said, is the management problem. Now, I agree with David, Mr. Schumacher, that the issue of media is a very important issue, because the media always lives on negative stories, while there are positive stories everywhere in the world. But they don't want to do that. They're all governed by the same powers that are controlling our lives. Unfortunately, these powers are always controlling us in what we do and what we don't do. Now, these powers are based in the United States now, but they could move to anywhere else in the future. Unfortunately, the countries that we're talking about, Sri Lanka being one of them, like in Southeast Asia, South Asia, like Bangladesh, like Pakistan, like Nepal, like India, also, they must become less dependent on foreign powers. They must do that. That's the only way they get them out of their untold future. They must depend on themselves. Sri Lanka has been green all along. It's a green country. It's a wonderful country. It's a country that can be independent. But the world powers don't want to make it independent. They don't like independence. They don't like countries that depend on themselves. So the talents that are in Sri Lanka now will fly out of Sri Lanka, unfortunately. They will emigrate to the developing world, to developed world, from the developing world to the developed world. This is a very sad situation. But we must help Sri Lanka now. We can do that by engaging in projects that establish the people and talks about the community, local communities in Sri Lanka. They're very, very powerful community. And they can do something different. Thank you so much, Sharif.
Thank you, Dr. Talib, for your excellent advice. Professor Jyotirmoy, next year, February, we will visit your place, your village, your people, and especially we are big fan of Indian culture, Indian Bollywood song, and I know you are a very good musician, singer, and you are a very good poet and writer. Uh, what you
Thank you
want to
for your
add?
compliment.
Thank you. Yes, what you want to advise, especially for the youth like Adam, Sharmeen, and me, how they can contribute more for their country.
I think that what I have already told, how to get connected with the whole society, and the education system should be made likewise. How it can be done? Our educational system in India, which was very much organically connected with the whole society. Nalanda University was there, which remained for 1,000 years or more in the eastern part of India. And it was connected with 1,000 villages, it is told. And Tagore also, Rabindranath Tagore, one of the best produce of the Eastern Hemisphere, Rabindranath Tagore, you might be knowing him, the first Nobel laureate from Western world, maybe outside white people. In 1913, he got the Nobel Prize for literature, but he could get Nobel Prize for 2, 3, 4 times. But if it was settled that he should be given for one time only, it was placed in the wrong place. He couldn't. He has written 300 books, but he had created one university which is based on the society itself in few villages, and it was connected with the villages and with the nature. Classes are held under the shade of trees. It is very much it is centered around Indian culture. But now we are copying the Western world. Maybe it is fitted to them, but we should develop another type of education system which is very much connected with each everything or everyone around. So I am thinking about doing that. I have started doing it there in those villages I am working in. Anyway, even before I welcome your visit there in the month of next year, February, but even before that, you could come and be part of it for few weeks or months or more than that. I don't know. So you could be a part of it while we are striving only. So that would be fine. I am welcoming you all. What we are trying to do, how to get connected with the whole society, with the education system, what can they contribute, and what can they earn also. Not copying the Western world, earning while learning in pattern. We are trying to develop something more. Anyway, I am very pleased to know that you are coming in the next year. I am inviting you to come even before. So thank you for
Thank
giving me
you.
opportunity to
Thank you.
talk to you. Yes, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
With our talent economy conference, we will visit everywhere.
You're welcome.
We want to visit Jordan, we want to visit USA, we want to visit UK, and we want to launch real project with grassroots level people. That is our objective, and I believe we have enough good human resources, those who can help to develop a better ecosystem. And thank you, Dr. Jyotirmoy, to give us the opportunity. Already, our team and your team, we are working together doing real research about your village, and hopefully it will bring an excellent outcome for the global community, because this model can be a very good example for everyone. Sharmin, are you with me? Sharmin, are you with me?
Sharmin.
Yes. What's your concluding remarks, Sharmin?
Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
So what is your concluding remarks? And especially, Dr. Talib bring the point about leadership, good leadership. I know that Bangladesh has women leaders. She is doing excellent work inside Bangladesh. You are also a woman leader, future leader for us. And we are observing recently the country like New Zealand, Bangladesh, where actually women become leaders. They're playing a very good role, even in corporations and academy.
Finland also.
Yes,
Finland also.
Finland also, yes. So,
Taiwan
Sharmin,
as well.
yes. So, what you want to share about women leadership model, and what is your concluding remarks?
Okay. Women leadership. Definitely. If I think it's not the era of 70s where women and haven't had enough scope to be educated or being a good politicians. I do believe women have a lot of good attributes to be in politics and especially in policy making. Because combination of both gender when it comes to developing policy is important. Um, because then you can see things from holistic purpose. If I talk about what is my takeaway from this today's show, basically we wanted to discuss about the current economic conditions in Sri Lanka. So I believe the ultimate objective was about discussing the challenges, situation that Sri Lanka is currently facing, and I think we did kind of have impression, or at least we managed to uphold our knowledge that what crisis they are facing and what could be the possible reasons towards it. In terms of especially when you highlighted how grassroots engagement or being patient and engaging more towards the local people is a solution. We did also discuss a bit about how policy making in terms of long-term vision. We do understand that immediate solution is needed at this moment when it's almost beyond control. At the same time, we also discuss about sustainable long-term solutions that needed to be addressed in terms of building, uh, I don't know, leaders, policymakers, and then engaging grassroots so that they become sustainable on a local basis. Don't rely much on the foreign debt, and even if they have to, but that debt policy also utilization of that debt also should be thoroughly. So it was interesting discussions, and thank you very much for enlightening me with all of your contribution. I enjoyed the session.
Thank you, Sharmin. Adam, what's your concluding remarks for today?
Thank you, Sharif. I think with countries that are war-torn, again, we need to try and formulate innovative social and cultural interventions and inventions that will help different cultures and groups of people move past generational trauma and mass PTSD, like with Sri Lanka and every nation which has been torn apart from conflict. One of the reasons that intercultural and inter-ethnic tensions continue. A winning side and losing side who are defeated, almost genocided even. That isn't something that is easily forgotten, and the trauma is passed down from one generation to another. I do think social media has many positives. There are obvious downsides, but definitely one of the upsides is that it has connected me with so many people from other countries, which would not have been possible even for my older brother's generation, say nothing of my parents' generation, grandparents' generation especially. We have made great leaps forward in treating trauma on the individual scale. So hopefully we can innovate similar therapeutic treatments on a group or cultural level, maybe with metaverse perhaps. But we know global collaboration is possible because we have seen it happen with COVID, where all these different countries and different continents are rolling out resources and mandates and interventions en masse. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This is really great discussion, especially for our audience. I request all of our audience, please share our content as much as possible. And another important thing is that positive news. If you see, like Observe World Talent Economy Forum 520 episode, you will find all of the positive discussion. All of the discussion based on modern science, engineering, and technology. And I'm sure all of them, those who join in World Talent Economy Forum, very, very positive people. Dr. Talib is a very good politician. So you can take as an example how to be a very good politician. Dr. Jyotirmoy is a very good social activist. So if you want to be a social activist, you can learn from Mr. Jyotirmoy. Mr. David Schumacher, excellent trainer with excellent knowledge and a good man. So if you want to be a good trainer, you can take him as a model. Adams and Sharmin, they are youth leaders. They are contributing for the corporation and for their nations. So everyone has good story. Every people has positive story. We are bringing all of the positive story together, and that is called talent economy. That is called the futures. So we bring all of the talented people from around the world. All of them has positive story, and you can take anyone as your example, follow them, take your guideline from them, and build your own society. That is the concept of talent economy. So we are with all of the grassroots level people, because I am also from a developing nations. I'm not from a rich family. My father was highly educated. He was a freedom fighters. He was a lawyers and politicians. So what I learned from the family, if I can contribute for the people will develop a better ecosystem, and which is important for this world. So thank you everyone for joining today's sessions. See you to the other discussion and dialogue, and definitely we want to arrange more offline conference and more offline academy, and hopefully next time we can visit your country. Thank you, Dr. Talib, Professor Jyotirmoy, Sharmin, Professor David Schumacher, and Mr. Adam for joining today's session. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
everyone.
Thank you, Sharif.
Thank you. Thank you.